purpose of this presentation is to examine some of the different sources that we can use to find reliable information. Now, I know the majority of you aren't going to become researchers, meaning you aren't going to go out and do studies, create studies, gather data, and write up articles for publication in professional journals. But I think we're all going to be consumers of research, meaning we need to go out and find answers that help us provide the best care that we can for our clients, to provide the most up-to-date, latest training programs, to provide the best nutritional advice, to provide the best kind of information that will help them improve their health and wellness. So in this presentation, what I want to do is talk about some of the sources of information that we can use, but really focus on what sources are going to be the best for us, that are going to provide the most reliable information and allow us to keep our skills cutting edge and so on. So there's obviously information everywhere. We live in a time where information is available to us on our phone, on our computers, on our laptops, on our tablets, etc. And sometimes that information comes to us through websites we may view, Twitter accounts that we may have, or people we follow, other social media, and so on. So we're always being bombarded with some information. We also may go out and try to find information. But regardless of where you get your information, we always have to question its source and make sure that the information that we're using, especially if we're using that information for our clients and improving training programs and so on, then we need to make sure we're using reliable information that is founded in science, that it isn't just opinion or it's not biased in some way. And it's often very hard to tell the difference between this good and bad information. If you do a quick search on, well, hey, what's the best way to improve my squat strength, you'll find hundreds of websites. Some that may have really cool information, great ideas, and they may tell you, hey, try this product. Well, they may be getting money from that product and therefore are going to give you biased information about the effectiveness of that product or the effectiveness of their technique. Also, many people that have websites, their websites make money based upon the views they get. So the more outrageous claims they can make, the more excitement they can generate about in their postings and on their websites, the more traffic they get, the more money they make. So again, they may be biased because they're attempting to get views. So we really have to be careful. Now, I will say that when it comes to designing training programs, some of those websites, even though they're pushing a product, can present some really interesting ideas. However, I think we always need to look to the peer-reviewed research to follow up on those ideas and see if those ideas truly make sense. Also, I hope that what you learn in classes like anatomy and physiology or essentials of human movement science, kinesiology classes you may take sometime down the road or maybe have taken already, hopefully they also give you the background to really review some of these claims and see if they just make sense in terms of how the body works. But anyway, if I find information on the web somewhere, and I maybe want to try to apply it to my clinical practice, I look for a couple of things. First off, I look to see if that website provided citations. Did they get this information from some other source? And if so, was it from a peer-reviewed source, a scholarly academic type of a source? And again, websites that cite their sources, I'm going to find in general to be more credible than ones that don't cite their sources. It tells me that they've done some of their legwork in terms of finding this information. Now, just because they have a citation doesn't mean it's accurate. They maybe read the article and applied the information or interpreted it incorrectly. So you may want to go look at that resource material yourself. One great place, one great set of websites that you can utilize are the websites that are associated with professional societies that you may be a member of. So, for instance, the National Strength and Conditioning Association is going to have a lot of really good information on their website, and that information is to a good extent going to be reliable and generated from peer-reviewed resources. So when you look through things like their newsletter, etc., you can count on that information likely being correct. So again, you may want to start there when you're looking for information about specific sources. However, what I want to focus on in this presentation is the utilization of really the top line of evidence that's out there that can help us in terms of maintaining our skills, keeping them current, and making clinically relevant decisions. And that research is called peer-reviewed research. So why should we read or perform research for that matter? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and I've said some of them already. However, I think that the best examples of why we should read research is that it allows us to make sure that we're always utilizing the best clinical practices. So it allows me to choose the best exercises, the best strategies to help my client meet his or her goals. It also helps us learn more about educational methods. What are the best ways that we can teach our clients about a specific technique, or find educational resources to help them learn more about how to manage their diabetes, how to manage their exercise related to their work schedule, etc. Research also helps us further our knowledge of the human body. And I am a firm believer, the more that we know about how the body works, the better we're going to be at prescribing exercise and designing different types of programs and improving health and wellness in our clients. So again, by jumping into the research and reading these types of things, we learn more and more about how the body works, which is overall going to be a good thing. Now, research has another important benefit, both to you, the clinician, but also to us on a bigger scale in terms of our profession, the profession of individuals that are working in health and wellness. I'm an athletic trainer. Athletic trainers are a professional healthcare society that does a lot of research. And I will say that this research that has been done by athletic trainers and funded by groups like the NATA Research and Education Foundation has helped athletic trainers increase their standing among other healthcare practitioners. It's made us known. It's made us known as high quality clinicians. Fitness and wellness professionals have some room to grow in this area. But by using research in your own clinical practice and then potentially getting involved in developing research programs or conducting research yourself, you may be able to even further enhance the professional reputation of personal trainers or fitness and wellness professionals, etc. So I've really seen over my time in the athletic training profession how research has positively impacted my profession. It's also had the effect of improving the quality of care. We know way more about ACL prevention and ACL treatment than we did 20 years ago, and that's because of all the research that's been done, evaluating different programs, evaluating different rehab strategies, etc. Again, so this research helps us to demonstrate effectiveness to other practitioners. And then most importantly, I think it helps us, regardless of your profession, stay on top of what are the latest trends and avoid ineffective fads. So when a client comes to you and says, "Hey, Tom, have you heard about this diet? Or have you heard about this new exercise program?" You can say, "Yes, I have, and I've read the research on it, and I know that it's effective, and this is how we can use it to help you meet your goals." Or it'll say, "No, there's really no evidence to show that it works, or it can even be detrimental," and you can have your client potentially avoid that strategy. So I want to focus in this presentation on two things. The remaining time we have is, again, what type of questions can research help us answer? And then finally, how do we get the answers? Physically, how do we find articles that help us answer these questions? So let's first talk about the kinds of questions that research can help us answer. So again, you may have a client come to you, and generally at the beginning, you're going to talk to them about their goals. So if I have a client come to me and say, "Hey, Tom, my goals are, I want to improve the strength in my lower extremity. I want to become stronger, and I want to increase muscle mass. I want more definition, more muscle mass. I want hypertrophy of my legs." So someone tells me that. that means I then need to go out and find out what are some of the strategies I can use to help this person meet their goals. Now, when it comes to improving strength, I have all kinds of choices. I have thousands of exercises I could choose. And I have different ways to apply those exercises. I can do low weight, high repetition. I can do high weight, low repetition. You have all of these choices. But what factors are going to bring the best benefits for my client? So I want to research that question. So I may create a research question, something like this. What is the effect of a squat training program on the quadriceps strength and thigh circumference? If my goal for this client is to improve their quadriceps size and strength, I may want to focus on squat exercises, but they may or may not be the best choice. So by asking this type of question, I can go out in the literature and try to find an answer to this question. So research will help us answer questions, but these questions have to be fairly specific, because that will allow me then to search for specific keywords such as squat training and quadriceps strength and thigh circumference, which are again, treatments that we may use, such as squat training versus some other type of training program, and outcomes, which are quadriceps strength and thigh circumference. Research can also help me answer questions like the second one here. Does a dynamic or static warm-up better prepare an individual for a 100-meter sprint? So if I'm working with a sprinter and his or her goal is to improve their sprint time, there's a whole lot of questions that we may want to ask. What's the best warm-up? What are best training techniques? What are the resistance training exercises this person should be using? But if I want to focus on their warm-up and what type of warm-up is going to be best for them, I could ask this type of question. And this would allow me to look up dynamic warm-up, static warm-up as treatment options, and outcome measures as the 100-meter sprint. Another question that I may ask, I have a client that comes to me. Now, I'm not a nutritionist or a registered dietitian, but they may ask me about the ketogenic diet and say, Tom, is this good or bad, or what should I do? And I also know this person is an endurance athlete. They ask me about this ketogenic diet and the potential impact on their endurance output. Well, I can look in the literature, find articles on ketogenic diet, and apply it to endurance athletes, and probably find some answers that help me at least tell them, hey, yeah, it's something you should look further into, or no, it seems like the research says it's a detriment to your performance, or it's dangerous or something. So again, by asking these types of questions, we convey our professionalism to our clients, and we can provide them with the best information possible. And finally, you may have a question again. Maybe you're a PE teacher, or you work with a lot of youth clients, and you're really focused on helping them avoid childhood obesity. And you not only want to educate them about, again, preventing childhood obesity, but also their parents, so their parents can provide them the best opportunity to avoid childhood obesity. You may want to look at what are the best techniques, best interventions to use to teach a child and their family about the strategies to avoid obesity. Well, the research is out there, and we can probably answer this question utilizing that research. So research can help us answer a lot of different types of questions in a lot of different categories. I've focused mostly on, again, questions related to what are the best exercise programs to use, what are the best way to educate people, and so on. But research is out there to help us in terms of basic science, understanding how the body works and responds to exercise, for instance, diagnosing injuries. It evaluates different types of interventions, which can include treatments like cryotherapy or compression therapy, etc. It can help us evaluate the prognosis for different kinds of diseases and the treatments that may be utilized in those diseases. It can help us evaluate outcome measures like strength, power, speed, etc. It can help us evaluate screening tools if we're looking at trying to incorporate different screening tools in our evaluation with the client. And it can help us with our evaluation skills. So there's a lot of different types of questions that can be answered with the research that's out there. So again, if we look at these questions that we may ask, these questions can be answered in the research. I've read the research on these topics. I know the answers are out there. So if a client comes to me and says, hey, Tom, I want to improve quad strength and increase the size of my legs, I know what the types of exercises are that are going to be the best for that person. I know if they should use high repetition, low weight, or high weight, low repetition. I know these answers because I've asked them and I've used the peer-reviewed research to answer them. Now, at the beginning of this presentation, we talked about good and bad information. If I search this question on the web, I will find a whole bunch of sources that may provide an answer for me. Some of them, however, are going to provide good answers, accurate answers, and some are not. That's why when we search something like this, I do generally start on the web, but then I finish by going to peer-reviewed research, because that will provide me the best answer, the answer that I know that I can rely on. So anyway, that's kind of this introductory presentation. In the next presentation, what I want to go over is a more specific definition of what peer-reviewed research is, and then how you can find it out there utilizing the sources that you have available to you.